he's not been on the greatest form this season. But for me, they are the two players most likely to unlock other teams. I think Maddison's a fantastic player. I'd build a team around him, not drop him. So, I think it's players that Big Ange obviously feels pretty safe with, pretty confident in. Kulusevski always keeps his place because he works so damn hard. That really does work well with managers. They rubs them the right way. Johnson, although I obviously don't rate him, I'm a critic of his, but same as managers. Managers have to win games to convince me. Players have to, a forward has to score goals and do something. So if he keeps scoring and doing things, he'll certainly win me over eventually. But I'm still not convinced with him. Perhaps we're talking about that a bit later. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to come on to
he doesn't quite look that kind of confident winger you see in other teams.
Jose, that would appear to be Ange's team of choice. That would be his first. Seems to be his first team if everybody's fit.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether if Bissouma's fit, Bissouma might have started before Bentancur if he was fully fit. I think that with the injuries or with the players that we had available yesterday, this was his preferred 11 to start the game because it's the team that started. But if they're fit, I think that if he was fit yesterday, I think Bissouma may have started before Bentancur. Other than that, then yeah, we are where we are with the injuries that we've got. The one thing I'm going to say, and no, I won't, because we're not talking about substitutions yet. So yeah,
we're talking about subs.
Yeah. I think this is the team. This team picked itself yesterday because Bissouma obviously wasn't 100. He'd only trained 1 day prior to the game, had one training session, fit enough to be on the bench, but not fit enough to start the game. Other than that, yeah, where we are with circumstance and at the moment, this was the team that I predicted to start.
Yeah,
that's an interesting one, Jose. I was thinking about this a while ago. I'm sure lots of people have been doing the same. Remember when Bentancur, before his major injury, what he was playing like then? He was sensational. I thought.
Yeah.
I don't think that Bissouma's ever hit those kind of figures or hit that kind of form. I just wonder what you make of the two of them when they're at the top of their abilities.
For me, Bentancur is the best midfielder we got at the club. If we're talking about at the top of their abilities, Bentancur for me at top of the abilities is the best midfielder we got at the club, bar none.
I agree. That's why I think he's playing him.
Yeah, bar none. But I think that if you look at the start of this season, the first 4 games, barring injuries, he's preferred Bissouma starting to Bentancur. But so therefore, and I actually thought Bentancur played well yesterday. I mean, you were at the game, Adrian, but I thought Bentancur done well. I thought Bentancur mopped up everything. Yeah. He was winning challenges and releasing the ball straight away. He wasn't progressively carrying the ball all the time. He was like bang, get the ball, bop, 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 popping it off to people.
And when we all like him, it's usually when he's in the driving forward role that he's playing. But yesterday he was playing different tactically. Ange has definitely changed things for. Just looking at the games to what other people say, I would like to talk about the atmosphere. Just going to the game, meeting up with Charlie Biker and Brad Matthews, and that is always a good. Anyway, it's good, nice to meet fellow Spurs fans, always is. But the atmosphere from when you walk to games and you're in games and you just feel like positive around you, like we've got this. It was like that, and the crowd were up for it. It was funny because normally, no disrespect to Brentford, but normally when you're at a game, and if it's what you can call a lesser team without being disrespectful, the crowd are sort of a bit more sit back, come on, entertain us sort of thing. But they were, I think the referee helped because when the referee makes a few bad decisions, that can be a positive because it G's the crowd up, Yeah. And yesterday I thought he was crap, you know what I mean? But at least we got away with a Vicario handball.
Yeah, I'll come on to that. That later. But I mean, I think that what you're saying is right. Did you feel that people are aware of some of the things that have gone on social media? And we've been talking about that on our WhatsApp groups and what have you. That perhaps the people at the stadium, Adrian, aren't reflective of the people, the keyboard warriors that come on abusing players on social media.
Yeah, definitely not, because they couldn't wait. I mean, the crowd couldn't, I suppose everyone, the three goal scorers today, they were the ones the crowd really wanted to score, you know what I mean? And when before even Brennan Johnson scored, they were singing his name, and I've sung it with gusto as well, So,
But I mean, one of the things I was thinking, boys, was if only we'd have had this game last weekend and won it, then the Coventry game, and then going into the NLD today off the back of 2 wins like that. It's if your granny had balls, she'd be your grandpa time. But
you don't want anything off the back of that Coventry performance, surely.
Well, it would have been 2 wins, though, Coover. Anyway, let's go back to where you were starting. We talked about the atmosphere and the singing, but 24 seconds or whatever it was, Adrian, you want to do the banner? No. Well, okay. Well, that one. I don't know what that typo there. But what a difference a week, mate. But a goal down in 30 seconds. What you can tell us, Adrian? You were in the stadium. What was it? What was that like?
Well, fun enough, it come from the man of the match, Kulusevski. He loses the ball just outside the penalty area. They pick it up, and then it gets crossed over, right, to the wing. And when the cross comes into Buemo, you got VDV. This was similar in a way to the goal we conceded at Newcastle when Harvey Barnes scored. No one picked up that particular player. You had VDV there, right, on the left. And to me, out the 2 central because Romero was in front of him, further to his right, and I thought actually VDV should have got touch tight to him, even coming in. I mean that goal was preventable, but VDV, see, when you win a game, it's not so bad when you love players make a mistake. But to me, that was his error. To me, that he should have picked it up. But he's young, he's experienced, but. Apart from that, he had a very good game. He made some timely interceptions and he was chasing down runs and things like that. He didn't have to do it full pelt, but I mean, because he doesn't have to, you know what I mean? But yeah, so if if the game had gone wonky, I mean, people would have probably been trying to blame Romero because he seems to be everyone's favourite scapegoat at the moment. But I mean, no, it wasn't. He was further to the right, looking to help Porro out, who was good as well. He was good as well. I mean, So, that's the way I saw the goal. I don't know you other guys saw it.
Well, I was going to ask, Jose, all goals are preventable. I think I'm one of those that thinks most goals can be prevented if someone does something different. That was a classic one of them. You don't lose the ball, you get tighter.
Yeah, if that was a Championship, League One or a League Two team, that goal doesn't get scored. And the reason why I say that with the utmost respect to the Premiership is that the other leagues don't give you an opportunity. They don't give you a chance. They're up your back. They're marking you straight up. They're on you. In the Premiership, people respect each other, and that's exactly what Porro showed. Porro showed too much respect. Didn't close the ball down. We had 3 players close to Lewis Potter, I think, crossed the ball in, and not one of them closed the ball down. That's why the cross came in. Am I going to blame VDV? VDV standing right behind him. It was an absolutely and Buemo took that absolutely brilliantly. I'm not going to really criticise VDV too much for the goal. Personally, I just think that the cross was preventable. The good job, if we're going to say it, we can say it now in hindsight, is that goal came so early. That goal came halfway through the game or 3/4 of the way. It came so early on that it gave us time to reset and go again. But yeah, it was a preventable goal in the sense that the cross should have been closed down. We had 3 players near the ball, and the cross wasn't closed down.
Coover, we're all of a certain age, the 4 of us, some older than others, but is this indicative? I wasn't pointing you out, Adrian, at all. Is that goal a symptom of modern football in which your defenders, when I played 40, 50 years ago, my job when I played in defence was to defend. Any attacking was a bonus. Now it seems like, particularly with fullbacks, the job is to attack, and if they manage to do some defending, that's a bonus.
For me, that is all down to coaching. This is one of the big criticisms I do have of Ange. I do not believe we defend well. Forget the high line, forget the set pieces part, just basics of defending. I've seen it far too often with us. Players just switched off. There seems like no organisation. Nobody picks players up. And it happens like this. We saw it against Leicester, Jamie Vardy, free header. We saw it against Newcastle, 5 defenders in the box, 2 attackers, neither attacker marked. I don't think we've got it drilled in there. You look at certain managers. I mean, I got criticised for saying I think we need somebody like Big Sam Allardyce to come in. The reason I say that is because he's got a track record of taking over a team within 2 weeks. The team looks like it's got a well-marshalled, disciplined defence with great shape in it. I do not see that with our team. We're very gung-ho, we're very attacking based, but we are always going to rely on having to outscore the opposition. So I think there's problems there. Is it down to individuals? Sometimes. But for me, it's a collective. If somebody's not pulling their weight, they should be shouted at by the other players around them. Sort yourself out. We need to be in the right positions all the time here. Communication's key for me. Who's really shouting the orders at the back there? We've lacked for a long time a natural leader. Nowhere on the pitch does it show it more than in the defence for me.
Adrian, that's really been a problem for a while, hasn't it?
We looked zonal for that first goal, didn't we? Again, we looked back to the bad old zonal. I mean, and we got 5 first-team coaches and a goalkeeping coach, Rob Birch. I mean, like Nick Montgomery and Sergio Romando were brought in to help sort these things out. I've seen signs on the odd free kick and defending at corners where there's been sort of slight improvement, but you're not going to know until we play a series of games, are you? So you got those two. Then you've got Milo Jedinek, Matty Wells, ex-Spurs player that I've seen him shouting on a training field, don't take the easy pass it forward. And you've got Ryan Mason. So we've got 5 first-team coaches and a goalkeeping coach. Now, they need to be doing a better job, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, a question there has come up on my chat. I can't see the chat from where I am here, unfortunately. But Rinketic Sports Agenda question
down the bottom,
for everyone.
down the bottom.
Would you rather win 2-0 Mourinho style or 4-3 Ange style? And what I was going to ask you, that question's coming perfectly for me, because I was going to ask you, Jose. It's a little bit of Vindaloo football, isn't it? With Ange, we're going to score one more than you.
Yeah, well, that's the way it has been, or that's the way that we perceive it to be. However, yesterday, right, and Adrian was at the stadium, I saw different. I saw us play differently yesterday. I saw us win differently yesterday. We didn't conquer the ball like we have done for the first 4 games, because before the game started, I said we're world champions. If you look at us on paper, the amount of ball retention that we've got, the amount of passes that we make, the chances that the shots that we take on and off target, we don't create enough clear-cut chances. But do you know what? Watching them yesterday, that was a different way to win yesterday in my eyes. We had less ball than, I think we ended up with 48% ball possession yesterday, and we won the game differently yesterday. No doubt people are going to tell me what I saw on the box yesterday. We didn't invert our fullbacks all the way up the pitch yesterday either. We actually had 3 players or 4 players in the defensive area at all times. So we weren't going to be beaten on the counter and stuff like that. I mean, that's what I saw on the box yesterday. Adrian was at the game. We won differently yesterday. And it needs to be said, we did win differently. We won differently yesterday. We didn't go out there and win and have 70% of the possession. We actually played differently and won differently. Our goals that we scored were different goals. They weren't the stereotypical goals that we see in training, where you get down the ball and you don't look, you just put the ball in the box without looking. We didn't score them goals yesterday. we scored different ways yesterday, and it was noticeable the changes. He tweaked it yesterday. We did play differently.
Yeah,
Got to give him his props. We did play. We did change.
Question there, point there from Gamecock come up in the chat. Yesterday we had our Tottenham back. Is that an exaggeration, Adrian? I mean, I was watching on the television as well.
It's like, look, see, I get a chance to look at it overview because you're actually at the stadium. You get to see the shape when we're not, when you're not magnetically attracted to the ball and it's been moving quickly, which we did a lot better yesterday. But it was also normally in engine systems, you've got two wingers that hug the touchline and push further up the field, but they weren't. Sonny was more. I mean, Solanke was the focal point, and Sonny was a little bit deeper, as was Johnson. They didn't like stay up there and just like stand around like zombies. You know what I mean? Sonny actually got. I mean, he got 2 assists, but actually a short game yesterday wasn't on point in my opinion. But I mean, it was different, and seeing like 3 at the back or 4 at the back for most of the game, so it has been tweaked. But I've seen this in other games. I've seen it in other games as well. I mean, like even when we start the season, I think people have seen. I haven't seen 2 defenders parked on the halfway line since the season began. To be honest, I mean. And it's not only has Ange changed things here, he's changed things each game. And if you look at the first game away to Leicester, Solanke played because he was fit. Son was on the left, Johnson on the right. And Basuma didn't play because he's being punished. So for no laughing matter, right? So, but I mean, like in the next game, it changed because of Everton at home. Because Sonny played through the middle, no Solanke. Then you had Odegaard on the left, and you had Johnson on the right, I think it was. So like he's changed again, and Bentancur comes in, and Salah even got a game, I think, in that game. Like then in the next game, it's changed again because Sonny now has moved back out. You know, like the front 3 changed again. So change things in each game. Whether people want to say that's adapting, but then people will come back probably and say, "Oh, it's the system." But I don't see that suicide system this year. This season, I don't see it. I haven't seen it. If you're talking, and to me, Porro does invert and cuts in. Udogie, to me, in games I've seen, even last season, I wouldn't class him as an inverted fullback. He plows that wing back furrow up and down that left side, and he like a tank. and he looked to me in the first half away at Coventry during the week, getting back on point, but Ange obviously wanted to give players halves in that game. So like I was sad when he went off and when Bergville, but like your doggy's looking better. But you know, I'll have more to say about other players but back to you.
Yeah. Cooper, for me, I mean you as well were, I think, watching it on the television rather than at the stadium. But I thought that we played with an intensity yesterday that's been lacking in our play. And if I say intensity, also with purpose. Instead of being possession for possession's sake, the players seemed determined that they were going to be moving the ball into forward positions as quickly as they could.
Yeah, I'll quickly answer in Rinketic's question, by the way. 2-0 or 4-3, always the same for me. 2-0 is a managerial result. It means you're coaching the team properly, they're defending properly. 4-3 is a fan's result, and I'm all about that. I'll just want to bucket loads of goals every game.
I'm with you.
7-3, 7-3.
10-9 ideally. 5 send-ins off, 3 dodgy penalties. Everybody's shouting at the ref, and everybody's got popcorn all down their front and goes home happy. That's what I'm all about. Anyway,
I just want to promote the channel for a second. We've got 40 of you watching in the chat, which is fantastic for a first show on a Monday, and good preps to Ian because he's an excellent host, right? If you can subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, even if you say, you know, you call me names, do whatever you want, right? Leave a comment and please subscribe. That would be very welcome, and it really helps us to grow. We're doing well, but like, you know, every bit of help out. You know,
absolutely. I think David's made a comment. Morning, David, in the chat. I think he's in Sydney. It might be in Melbourne, but certainly is in Oz. hit you the like and subscribe and the notifications for both channels. That's just tremendous for us all, and of course for Jose's channel too.
Subscribe to
I'm
guys.
I'm the 4-3 man. I mean, I think we're still. I know it's a results business, but we're also in the entertainment industry. And I want to see good football. I want to see goals scored. But I thought, going back, Kuva, we really attacked with real purpose as opposed to
that's the key.
Yeah,
that's the key word, isn't it? Purpose. That's what's been lacking me for. I'd say the intensity's been there all season. We're trying to press. We're doing it really well at times. But if you're not actually reaping any rewards from it, it's pointless. Today I saw, when we do get the ball, there's the tempo's quicker, the willingness to get it forward quicker, whether travelling with the ball, like Maddison was doing all game. Some of his running was just brilliant. I love watching him when he's in full flight like that. But the team in general, this is what I would say is actual Ange ball. Ange ball isn't a particular style. For me, it's all about getting the ball forward quickly, the intent to attack.
That's 100% right.
Yeah, so there's no set formations or anything like that. And he does tweak things a little bit. I think he gets a little bit too much stick for saying it's always the same. It isn't. It's just very subtle changes when he does it. Sometimes through personnel, but for me, it's that purpose. It's that intent. You look at players coming in a little bit deeper, like as you mentioned, Sonny, Johnson starting a little bit less off the last defender, because we know we've got Solanke in there as a focal point now. So I think the team was attacking as a unit a lot better, rather than setting a few sort of attempted killer balls through to the likes of Johnson or Sonny. I think there was more of a sort of collective, let's all get forward. If somebody does get out wide to get the ball in there, make sure we've got some numbers in there. It looked a lot more coherent, a lot more exciting. And sure, we still concede chances because we do play a risky brand of football. Brentford could have scored more, without doubt, but we could have scored a lot more. So I was happy with what I saw. Johnson, Solanke, and Maddison. If I was going to pick 3 players to score that really needed a goal, it would have been those 3.
Couldn't agree, Mark, more. Solanke, well, I was going to come on to that, Kuva. Solanke off the mark. Jose, I want to pick up and take that on for what Kuva was saying about Ange ball. One of the things, I'll put this because I want maybe get all of your opinions on. And I think we would all agree that at £65 million, Solanke wasn't a bargain. But when I looked at some of the analysis, and there was some really good analysis of where Solanke gets his goals, and it's sort of in and around the penalty spot, generally the ball coming into him early, on the floor, first time finishes. And that was the chances, that was the type of chance we were creating regularly last season from the wide positions and not converting. And Ange always said, that's the player I want because he fits the profile. So at 65 million, he was certainly not cheap. But if that's the player that fits the profile best of all, then it's money well spent, Jose.
Yeah, I mean, if you go by, we're never going to know what's happened behind closed doors. I mean, we're never going to know who we were in for and who we weren't. But all the noise coming out is that Solanke was the number 1 target they wanted as a forward. He did say I think he said in the presser the other day that they did look at Ivan Toney. He was one of the players that did look at, but but the profile, that the person that they wanted and that fitted the profile best for what they're trying to do is Solanke. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not here to educate people and tell people what's right and what's wrong, but we all know that you pay a heavy price now. So you have to pay a heavy price on signing players. Now, 65 million would have probably got you a different type of forward many years ago. but 65 million is the going rate here. It would pay the English tax as well. It's the going rate here for a striker. Now, yeah, I also think that Solanke has the game to mix up as well. So not just the style that we play and the football we play, but if we were to change because we needed to change in game and we needed to go long or we needed to go and cross the ball and that, the guy's a demon in the air as well. He's absolutely superb in the air, Solanke. And watching him last week, against Saliba, he bullied Saliba all day long. And then watching him yesterday against Ethan Pinnock as well, he bullied Ethan Pinnock as well. So, at the end of the day, because the thing is, looking at Solanke, to me, he doesn't look like one of these big, gigantic forwards. Yeah, he's probably 6'2", but he doesn't look like he's built like a shit brick house. But he's got some unbelievable strength, And to me, I think that he needs a bit more credit than what people are giving for. His first touch is really good as well. He seems to. You give him the ball in awkward situations where he's got a player right on his back, and he takes it down on his chest, on his knee. He takes it down on his foot. He takes the ball down really well. I think he's a good player. Forget about price tag. At the end of the day, you're still the same individual. Whether someone's paid 65 million for you, 100 or 20 million, you're still Dominic Solanke. You're still the same player. Forget about the price tag. But as a player, I like what I see with him, and I'm hoping that he will go on and flourish in a Tottenham shirt.
Coover, I mean, there's Mick Vickers in the chat. Spot on Eltel, Solanke over Tony every day for me. I have to tell you, I was really surprised and really impressed at just how good he is at his hold-up play. And I'll go because people say, oh, God, you get rid of Harry Kane and you get Solanke. Well, Harry Kane is Harry Kane. He's a one-off. But I'll say to you this, that Solanke's hold-up play is way better than Harry Kane's.
Than Ivan Toney's, not Harry Kane's, surely.
No, I'm talking about Harry Kane. I think Solanke held the ball up better than any centre forward I've seen at Tottenham for a long time. I'm trying to think the better. I mean, I thought he was Chivers like. That's, I know there'll be people in the chat know who the hell. Hi Nita, I met an soccer. They fly over for the US, got the game. Had brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, no, I'm comparing him. I mean, I think I'm not going to tell you that Solanke's a better player than Kane. That would be idiotic. You'd have me, locked up for that. But I thought his hold-up play was the best. Maybe the best I've seen at Tottenham since Martin Chivers. That's what he reminded me of, if you're old enough to remember Chivers.
I get what you're saying now. In terms of strength and ability to hold off the defenders, he's a proper target man. You can play it into him. You can play it in the air. You can play it along the floor. He's going to make it stick. You could say Kane isn't as good at that part of the game, but obviously Solanke doesn't have Kane's world-class sort of flip over the top for Sonny, that kind of move. Fortunately, I had watched Bournemouth an awful lot. I'm living in that kind of area. It's only a sort of 40 minutes away from me to go and watch them. So I'm aware of what Solanke can bring to the teams. Even when he was at Liverpool, you could see that he's a good player. He just wasn't scoring goals. Now he does look like a more complete player. The trouble is nowadays, as you said, you're paying a premium for strikers, and they seem to be a dying art form as well. Nowadays, the modern forward has got to do a bit of everything. You can't be just a great striker. So here's what we needed: somebody that can join in with a build-up play. The one that my classic for me, Solanke, would be dropping deep. It played into his feet, and he would just get it out to one of the wide players, spin spin and go down the other wing. And then coming from the other side. So he is setting the attacks up. And you do that well, and you do it swiftly. He can shift a bit to Solanke, surprisingly quick for a bloke that size. And I think he's got the ability to offer more to this team than the likes of Richarlison or you have to, and Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, I think, is a better finisher, better in the air. But he's not that mobile. He does not link up well. Well, he kind of does. He is the target man type. But I don't think he's got that all-rounded game Solanke has. And I thought he was a good signing at the time, but he's just not a stellar signing, is he? He's not a Klinsmann or that kind of jaw-dropping signing that fans are so desperate for.
But, I mean, if I'm going to be crude, he's not a cream your pants signing. But that, at the end of the day, isn't what you're looking for. You're looking for a player that can positively affect the team. Adrian, I'll bring you in here as an all-round attacking force. The way he brings holds the ball up when we're under pressure, which is going to bring me on to another point. But bringing other players into the game, which I don't think we really had, certainly last season.
Yeah, you can't really compare Kane with Solanke because they different craft and different craft levels. I mean, like, you can use Solanke as a battering ram, and he's good at that, right? And he's not frightened of going where it hurts. You know, Kane was more of a sort of like more of an approach player than a direct player. He would get in the box, but he doesn't have Solanke's physicality. You know, he gets really stuck in, like, you know. So we lost him, but never mind. We'll carry on until he comes back. Yeah. So yeah, with me, I just think he suits the. I haven't seen a lot of this player. I've got to be honest. I watched the videos when we were coming up to sign him. We got him in a bit late. We know Ange wanted him. We can sort of see why now, because he really suits the system. But I think he's going to get goals. We know that now. Now he's off the mark. That all important first goal. He's got off the mark now, and I think he's going to do so well for us. I think under this system we will start scoring lots of goals, and some teams are going to get an absolute spanking. So I don't know what you guys. I mean, we've eulogised about him so much. I've got to be honest. I've seen more of Gray and Bergvall than I've seen of Solanke, because I've watched Gray prior to this season when everyone was raving about and watched clips and
sorry about that.
And I've watched Bergvall, but to be honest, I haven't watched too much of Solanke, but I am definitely liking what I'm seeing, and especially in the last two games. I mean, he's a battering ram, like, you know. Defenders are going to think, shit, I've got to defend against him, like, you know. So back to
up that Bournemouth. Like I said, he was really clever with what he was doing. He was dropping so deep that the defender had to make a choice: go with him and vacate the space, or just hold back and just let him have a free and go on the ball. But what he would do is often have the ball played into his feet, play it back to the same player, and then spin round to go down the wing. That left the defender the choice of, do I go and close the ball down? Do I go with my man? If I go with the man, then he's left a huge space for the player that's just had the ball back to drive into. Meanwhile, Bournemouth have sprinting wingers down both flanks. It's a real problem he causes for defenders that way. Kane would do the same positionally, but I think Solanke's actually really underrated for this part of his game. He does make teams open up because you have to make those critical choices. He's either going to get the ball easily for a team playing the low block. Of course, low block is going to stay where they are, aren't they? But for any other team looking to progress, he's a problem. He really is. And I agree. The fact he's got a battering ram kind of build and physique and just menace in the box, it adds a lot of positives to our team we didn't have last season.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I was going through one of the chats that I wanted to highlight, and I hit the leave button instead of the chat button. But morning Ben, morning bro. There's quite a few of you in the chat actually. Let me do that. That I haven't spoken to. Where are we? Yeah, David. I think Tottenham on tour. That will be Brian, I assume.
No, it's not. It's
Brian.
the Roadman.
Oh, which one's the road man? I lose track.
Dave. It's Dave. David, Ben, and Brian are all here.
Yeah, and there's Ben Ian's appearance needs to run out. That's usually a joke. That's usually a joke with Coover. Coover has actually played me quite well to be on the show this morning. So it will be a nice takeaway from the Indian tonight. But there was a comment about just someone saying about the positivity on the show, and I think yeah, I think this is a show we do at least try and be positive and look at the positives. There'll be negatives, there'll be bad days. We'd have got beat yesterday 4-0. I'd have been having a rant because I do have a rant when we're bad. But if we're good, for heaven's sake, let's show the positives. There are plenty of negative shows out.
Well, yeah, there were. I mean, just to pick on one. I mean, Vicario needs to get his act together a bit better, doesn't he? I mean, teams are pressing him now because they think he's got a mistake in his distribution. I think that's just my theory on it. And see, there was some shaky moments. Don't get me wrong, he made a couple of blinding saves as well. The header, he's pushed wide, didn't he? And there was the other. I can't remember everything in the game, but I mean, like, I did a write up on it. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, he seemed, I don't know if it's a confidence thing with him or what, but one thing, even though he was a bit shaky at times, he was actually looking to distribute the ball a bit quicker for a change.
Yeah.
But like, and that helped with the pace of our game as well. So we know he's a good goalkeeper. It's just like, but he's not old for a goalkeeper at 27 or 28. I mean, like, so, I expect him to iron this out.
Well, funnily enough, that was when I cut myself off, as I say, hitting the wrong button. That was a point I was going to make, and I'll bring you back on it, Adrian, because you were there. But watching on the television, I thought there was a real willingness. I mean, I watched in fact, funnily enough, I think it was Brentford. It was Nottingham Forest last year, and I was sitting next to Johnny Hamay, who a lot of you will know or been on with, and Johnny was calling it horseshoe football, where we went one side of the penalty area, then back again with no penetration. I thought that we were trying to move the ball forward far quicker yesterday than we have in a game for a long, long time. You're all nodding. Adrian, let's keep you in there, and then I'll bring the others in. And then I want to talk about Vicario, because I think that's an important issue.
Even Brennan Johnson, who I've been a critic of, I sort of think we all have, and Coover has, and everyone's been a critic of him. I mean, I do believe there's a higher ceiling in that player, but he's in the game. He scores a goal now. Like, I know we'll come to him later, but then like he tends to drift back out of the game again. I mean, I don't know why this is. I mean, when he does good things, he's very good. He's technically very good. He can beat a man. He can slip it and go inside and outside. He can do that. Like this horseshoe football thing, I think there's a lot of fear in players and their stats. Every team I watch plays the same way. I've said it's so robotic. You watch every team. They all play narrow to stop you playing through the middle. And there's always a wide trench of grass down one side of the pitch, where if a winger was sitting there doing nothing and you've got the ball out to him, he's going to get down in your half. But teams are happy for you to have the ball out wide. You don't want them in centre. That's all the way it is. I mean, like, so horseshoe football, yeah, but everyone plays it. I don't see anyone play it different. I mean, and it's like Brentford. They do like, their tactic was, I go back to when he was alive now, wasn't he? Graham Taylor at Watford. I go back to Watford when I look at Brentford. Every time Watford had a free kick, they threw every man forward. Every time they got a corner, they threw every man forward, right? And they'd always, look what Everton did to get the 2-2 draw of us the other season at their place when Pickford was coming up, taking the free kicks and hoofing the ball forward. And they got the draw, didn't they, in the end? This is the tactic that low block teams play, because they will cause you problems. You're going to have problems against any team in the game. But you could read Brentford's. They weren't. We kept them pinned back more than they sat back. They did try to get forward, but the press was that good yesterday that you didn't win it all the time, but it was that good. We certainly. The goals came. We pressed them into errors. But goals.
But isn't that the point, Coover? Is that with a low block, and I notice this sometimes with Ange. I'm a fan of Ange's, but I'm not blind to any weaknesses. I mean, I noticed at Celtic, if he was playing against a St Johnson or a Motherwell or a Kilmarnock, that they would play a low block, and sometimes his team struggled to break them down. Now, if you play with the intensity that we played with yesterday, you win the ball up high and then deliver the ball in behind that block. They've got the problem, not you. Whereas going across the ball, where you're playing in front of across in front of a solid back five, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing with high tempo does cause teams problems. They have to be much more mobile, much more switched on. And like I said, if you can get behind the defence, it's suddenly not a defence, is it? And we all know defenders always complain about they don't want to be facing their own goal and chasing back.
Absolutely.
They want it all in front of them. Now, this thing about talking about it's horseshoe football, you know what? Manchester City have to do that as well. The difference is Manchester City have Phil Fodens, they have Bernardo Silvas,
or even Grealish coming off the bench.
Grealish, yeah, players that can unlock that sort of those positions. I think we do not have that abundance of quality there. I think there are players that can do it. Maddison on form can pick out some of those genius little passes. We used to do it when it was like Kane and Dele Alli and Ericsson and those beautiful little 3-yard balls that would completely destroy a defence. It looked effortless, or a little scoop over the top. We were playing horseshoe football then, but we had the players to unlock the defence. So we do struggle with it at times. Have we got the personnel to constantly do it? I don't. I'm still doubtful, but we do have some that can do it. And playing at the higher tempo, playing with a lot more purpose, getting forward as a unit, and players like the Solanke are making it easier. It's not far from perfect. We're still going to struggle against a really well-drilled defence like we saw against Arsenal, unfortunately. Sorry, I've just got to spit a minute. There's positives to take. Like I said, the big takeaway from me yesterday was this is the first time I genuinely saw something I would call Ange ball. We've all of last season, I was constantly, where is it? Where's this high tempo, high octane sort of performance? It just wasn't happening. However, it is only Brentford, so let's have a little bit of consistency. Do this week in, week out, and see where we go. The reason I've gone Ange out in recent weeks is because I've seen that downward trend, and I didn't see us getting out of it. Now we've won one, looking good winning it. Let's see an upward trend. That gets me back on the Ange train. But
Sure.
same as everybody. If your team wins, it's a lot easier to get behind them.
I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring you in, Jose, because I do want to chat about Vicario. I think we all need to take it and get some feedback from the people in the chat about Vicario as well. As we've said, guys, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button for this channel and for El Tel Cockerel as well. Please, that really does help us. But, I mean, I think, Jose, the point I wanted to bring you in, one of the criticisms of what we've done over the last, probably since the first 10 games of the season, is we've won a few games, but we haven't beaten any of the big teams. We're still struggling against top six. And next Sunday we go to Old Trafford. That will be a test for us, won't it?
Who are not in the top six? They're 11th. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, but you're talking about the big clubs. They're a big club.
Brentford were in the top 10 before we played them yesterday. Just saying. Right. So going on what Kuba said, I agree with everything that Kuba said. But yesterday, I'll also add, yesterday we won differently. We didn't win. I keep repeating this. We didn't win having possession and playing the same kind of football. Yesterday we create space. We moved around a lot more. We made openings for ourselves. Yesterday we won differently, and it shows, hopefully, that the manager can adapt because the players didn't invert all the way up. Players did hold back. Adrian used it the game anyway, but you know this anyway. But we won and we played differently. Long may it continue. Going to Vicario. Vicario yesterday, a mixed bag, right? So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Yeah, he looks jittery still, but yesterday I saw him come out and catch a ball. Not the one that people are going to talk about, the controversy, but I saw him catch a ball.
No, I'm going to talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, 15 yards. So the box is 18 yards. He caught the ball about 15 yards into the box, right? We're complaining about him defending his 6-yard box. I've seen him come out now recently to grab balls. Yesterday, from corner kicks, I saw him going out to punch balls. I saw him moving out of the 6-yard box, moving off. Instead of being glued on the line, he was moving out. Some iffy stuff with the when he tried to hold on to the ball and Carvalho nearly took it off him. Some iffy stuff, but then he made some great saves as well. At the end of the day, what we want to see is, we know he's a good shot stopper, but we want to see improvements in the areas where he's weaker.
Yeah.
And I think that this season he is improving in them weak areas. Maybe not at the rate of knots that we would want our keeper to improve by, but I have seen improvements. Yeah, like Vicario's got a mistake in him, and he needs to iron that out as well. But for me, he has improved. You know, he's not. He looks like he still looks like a school kid to me, because he's not muscled out. He's not like other goalkeepers, got a bit of beef behind him and that. And he's very slight on that. But I have seen improvements in him. Obviously, some people say the improvements are not quick enough. We want them far quicker. But I'm going to look here and be honest to the man. How many times has he saved us since he's been at the club?
Yeah.
He's saved us more often than what he's put us into trouble. So you've got to give him a chance to grow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Adrian, if I said, and it might be a bit simplistic, great about Vicario, great shot stopper, not a great goalkeeper. What would you say to that?
Oh, he's a very good goalkeeper. It shouldn't bandy the word great about, but I mean, he's a very good goalkeeper. I mean, fans last season, this is where we have different perceptions, and I like to look at the game and judge each player on its merit. You know, if a player plays well in the 5 or 6 last games of the season, suddenly he's been great all season, right? You know, I mean, last season Vicario played every game, but if you ask Spurs players to pick their player of the season, Romero was out injured, VDV was out injured, Romero was suspended as well. They're all going to pick VDV or Romero. They're not going to pick Vicario, right? And no, he's a very good goalkeeper. What he was doing a bit better yesterday was distributing the ball quicker, which helped get our attacks going quicker. If he does that on a regular basis, opponents are going to think twice of closing him down, because they know he's going to get rid of the ball. If he divers, they've obviously been told, close him down. Whenever you can, close him down. You know, we might get a mistake out of him. Like, no, he's look. We do critiques on all players, don't we? But and rightly so when it's justified. You know, I mean, like, he's got areas to improve on. But although he's got shown weaknesses in his game, it doesn't stop him from being a very good goalkeeper.
Okay, Kuva, just perfectly timed to bring you in. Spurs Express, just a tweet that flashed up in front of me. Guglielmo Vicario, a big presence behind the scenes as well as on the pitch. The 27-year-old Italian was added to the team's leadership group this summer to become its 4th member with Son, Maddison and Romero, with the players looking to Vicario as one of the key voices among them. It means Postecoglou has an established leader in every line of his team.
Sorry, what's the question?
Well, no, just it's not a question. I'm feeding you to talk.
You're right. Well, okay. Let's go for Vicario.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about.
There's things I like about him.
Comment from David as well.
There are things I do like about him. He's got those cat-like reflexes, makes some absolutely blinding saves that are, show-stopping sort of moments. But he's also got a lot of traits and habits that I don't like seeing in a goalkeeper. Same as I feel about Jordan Pickford. Jordan Pickford can be amazing on his day. He can also be wildly erratic and cost you goals. And I see the same with Vicario. For me, I've got a very high level when talking about what I expect from a goalkeeper. The best 3 I've ever seen in my lifetime: Pat Jennings, David Seaman, and Neville Southall. And they've all got a very similar style. They're all very laid back, ultra calm. And they just have this aura about everything's easy, everything's under control. Yeah, that confidence spreads to the defence, and it's no coincidence that all 3 of them were winning trophies. The team really does get built from the back. If you haven't got an awful lot of confidence in your goalkeeper, your game does get affected. Vice versa, if the goalkeeper doesn't believe in the defence, he's going to start shipping goals. He's not going to be happy. I like Vicario, but I don't think he's the best. I think if I was seeing this in him when he's age 20, I'd be okay with that. Youngster learning the game. But at 27, I thought I want to see a little bit more consistency and calmness about him. And it's not there. He looks a very kind of nervy goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I kind of saw the same things with Hugo Lloris a lot as well. I know fans rave about him being one of the best ever, but he's just not in that bracket, like I said, with the ones I've rated the most in the Premiership era.
No, because his kicking was terrible.
I mean, last year, people were saying we got a better goalkeeper for less money. When the Levy talk, typical, he doesn't pay the Raya money. He goes and gets the cheap alternative. Then all of a sudden, brilliant. We've got the cheap alternative, but we got a better alternative. But Raya's looking absolutely superb.
Yeah, I'll stick with what I said at the time. I still would have preferred Raya, and now it's definitely proving it. But Vicario's got a place. If he's trying to improve, he's trying to get out there and make those catches and get out there and make those punches. At least he's trying to actually improve his game. So I'll back him from that point of view. He might actually turn around the sort of frailties to his to his game.
Well, with Foster in his last season, there's a question of whether we bring in a backup goalkeeper or whether we introduce one of the youngsters. We've got some promising young goalkeepers, though. We really have. Keeley, Gunter, Austin. Don't think Whiteman will be there, but that remains to be seen. It is an issue I think that's going to have to be addressed in the summer.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, because a lot of controversy, and I'm going to say I don't think there really should be a lot of controversy, but people thinking that Vicario should have been sent off. Jose, let's bring you in. You got a take on this?
Right. Do you know what? Watching it live yesterday, I thought to myself, did he?
Yeah, me as well.
Right. And then I obviously with what I watched yesterday, there wasn't any replays, so I did say to everyone, I'm going to watch Match of the Day. Now, I watched Match of the Day last night, and unless I was half a kip, which it was late when I watched it, but when they magnify something and they go in, they didn't magnify to see whether he actually had or hadn't handballed it outside the area. To me, though, by the letter of the law, and I think you've refereed before, Ian, so you know this anyway, by the letter of the law, he didn't stop a goal-scoring opportunity. Yeah, so if the play had been stopped initially by the referee, he could have produced a yellow card, but it was never ever going to be a red card. The fact that he never blew his whistle and he let the play continued, and then he stopped the game, VAR could then not get involved because it wasn't a red card offence. So that's why VAR didn't get involved either. So to me, it's a null and void. It was never a red card. At best, it would have been a yellow had it been stopped at the time. And that's my opinion on it. It was never a red card.
Kuva, Jose is just 1,000,000% right about the laws of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, also, when the ball is in the air and you're making a decision about is it over a line, it's a hell of a lot more difficult in real time. And I believe that officials are only supposed to make decisions when they're sure about them, aren't they?
Yep.
So for me, the referee must have questioned whether it was actually outside or not.
Or he didn't see it.
Adrian, I'm going to bring you in. To me, his assistant should have been helping him there. But I mean, to me, it was an infringement because the goalkeeper handled the ball outside the area. Yeah. It was probably a yellow card offence, direct free kick to Brentford, which they didn't get. He didn't give a free kick at all. But this is a complete red herring to say, DOGSO is the acronym for the red card criteria, denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. He didn't do that, and because he didn't do that, as Jose says, VAR can't intervene.
Yeah, if the referee didn't see it, then you'd think the lino would, wouldn't you? So, I mean, I was down the far end. I'm sort of like blinking twice at that because I'm right down near the south stand, high up in the east, right next to it, so I couldn't sort of see it, and I wasn't. And when you're looking at the ball, you're not looking to really see whether a goalkeeper's inside his box or straight out. You know, you're not really looking at that. So, and I wonder if the referee saw it. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at line of sight if there was any players there blocking his line of sight, which way the ref was actually looking, because you'd think he'd had his eye on the ball all the time. But if not, then would the linesman flag? I mean, like, they flag enough for offside. I don't know about on-field decisions like that. I mean, they used to put the flag across the chest for penalties, didn't they? Yeah, I haven't seen that for ages. So I don't know if like things have been changed, you know, or not on that, you know.
Yeah.
But it's perspective as well, isn't there? 3 different angles: angle that you would have seen it yourself, angle from the TV, angle the ref gets, and they're all different.
Yeah.
Like I said, when the ball's in the air, it becomes a lot more difficult to gauge, especially when it's right on the edge of those lines. It's not like, for me, it wasn't as clear as like a Pedro Mendes shot against United that was like about 12 miles over the line. It was kind of, it looked outside to me, but I wasn't 100%, and I had to see the replay before I saw that extra flick of the glove, and I thought, yeah, that must have been outside. Referee in real time, I think that's a difficult one for him unless he's got an absolutely crystal clear view.
Okay, let's come on to a couple more positives. Adrian, that's probably Maddison's best performance in a Spurs shirt. Certainly his best performance for a year.
What was particularly good, it was that him and Decky seemed to have some understanding on the pitch as well. I mean, and that's what made it. I mean, he knows when to drop a bit deep when Decky's going forward and all that. And obviously, anyone want to mark him? He was hard to mark yesterday. He was very hard to mark, because I found that. Oh, I mean, Maddison. Well, we'll come on to Decky later, but wow. I mean, I mean, like, he was so good. I mean, he's pressing. You wouldn't see he's the most physical, but he like presses for a goal, right? He's pressing for mistakes. He's getting in there, and it's not what I normally associate with Maddison, that sort of physical presence against others. But he's sticking his foot in, and I'm thinking, yeah, let's see some more of this. I mean, we were aggressive for a change. I've always said we've been a very passive team, right? Last season at times, very passive when we got overrun in midfield and all that, and letting teams bully us. But we were aggressive, and Brentford are physical. They are a physical team. It's part of their game. I mean, like, and we were getting stuck in. I mean, some of them last-ditch tackles and tackles to win the ball back. I thought, come on, let's see. We should be seeing this. No, I mean, like, it's positives. I mean, there were, I mean, a couple of negatives. Basically, I thought, well, though Sonny had 2 assists, I thought his short game around the edge of the penalty area was a bit, meh. You know what I mean? But like, he did set up quite a few things outside. Sonny, played players in. You know, he was playing slightly deeper. But like Maddison, though, it was like, no, he sort of virtually he sort of controlled the game. I mean, like, and with the help of, and then it was tactical. It was a change because like it helped that Bentancur was deep as well. That took a lot of the risk out of it. I mean, I prefer, I mean, like, Maddison. No, his all-round game. He was a good 8-10 yesterday. You know.
I mean, I was watching. I know he doesn't have the different players range, and certainly not the range of passing. But I thought the way that Maddison was on the ball and was controlling the game, it was Hoddle-like.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to bring Coover in there, Adrian. Is that all right?
Bring him in. Go on, Cove. Come in, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've always been an advocate for you get your most talented players on the ball as often as possible. Maddison is one of those players. When discussions came up about dropping Maddison for Bergvall, my answer was always, I'd play them both. I think you get the talent in there. So for me, it was interesting to see the fact that we play Maddison deeper and keep Kulusevski in there, because Kulusevski does have the talent. He gets criticism sometimes, well, quite a lot of the time, in fact, but he is reliable in what he does. He does work hard. He does win the ball. And he does have that little bit of magic at times, that little twinkle toed, little step to beat a defender. And then he's got the ability to actually pick out a killer pass as well at times. Don't always see it, but it's there. So I like that little decision. Just put the quality in both ends of the field. With Bentancur backing it up, this is another one. I had the Bissouma argument a little while ago. For me, I would persist with Bentancur because I think he is a better player. I would prefer to play him into form than just pick the player that, based on their fitness levels, or perhaps they don't reach that kind of peak. For me, quality is everything in football for me.
I think what Ange has got to do, I mean, because last season our midfield and front three were pants. Our front three still hasn't. We need to see it gel more and fire more. But he's got to find different blends of a midfield three because we're playing lots of games this season. He's got to find different blends of the front three because Odeberg wasn't brought in just to sit on the bench either. So he's got to find that. So yesterday's team line worked. I'm pretty sure Bissouma could come in for Bentancur if needed. And I'm absolutely certain that Bergvall could come in and replace Decky or Maddison if needed as well. So options there. Is this like, if we're going to have a concern and we're worried about defensively, it is like the Bentancur. I think he's better going forward, but a better player in that role, driving us forward up the pitch, carrying us forward. We haven't really got a proper ball carrying number 8, although I'm beginning to see signs of that in Decky. But I mean, who plays a hybrid 8-10 role, sort of hybrid 8-10 role. But Bentancur to me would be my first pick if he's on top. If they're all on top of their game, it'd be my first pick because he's got that bit of aggression with him as well, and like his game has got more consistency in it. What we've seen in the past, he can be a more consistent player because he played yesterday, not the driving force or nicking a goal like he did at Chelsea or things like that.
Sure,
he's got that more because we've seen him and we know that like. The player in there with that bit of aggression, he'll give you that. And he can, at times I've seen us when we've been bad, when he's tried to drive us forward and pull it, get us on to win a game or get a chance. So no, I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah. There's a worry, Jose, is there not, though, that Bentancur is facing a lengthy ban for his antics in South America?
Yeah, I think he had till last Thursday to answer. Or not answer. We've not heard whether he's put in or whether the club have put in anything or not, or whether he's just going to accept the charge against him. Whether he accepts the charge against him or not, it's going to lead to some form of ban. The length of it will probably depend on whether he says, "Yeah, I am guilty of it," or if he goes down the route of defending himself, then and gets found, to be proven. Then it might be even longer than what it is. But there is going to be some time that he's going to be away from the team. But like I said earlier, to me, I thought that if Bissouma had been fit, it's not to say that he's a better player, but if Bissouma had been fit, he has favoured Bissouma over Bentancur in the first 4 games. I think it's the fact that Bissouma wasn't 100 for yesterday's game to start the game off, that he started with Bentancur. And as I said, I'll go back to saying again, if players are playing to their level and on form, the best midfielder at the club we've got is Bentancur.
On that, I want to talk about this because, there's so much hypocrisy when it comes to players being charged for things that happen in the game and that. And to me, for our FA to get involved, I mean, Enzo Fernandez wasn't charged because it was during a FIFA competition, so it's their jurisdiction. Whereas it was different because he's on holiday. Now, my argument with this is I think FIFA and UEFA, apart from being corrupt organisations and as useless as their Premier League leaders as well, I mean, I think it should be a FIFA. If you're going to stamp out racism in football and you rely on the FA to charge him and fine him and get a ban, it's forgotten. But if you're really keen, now I don't know if FIFA or UEFA are institutionally racist or not. I don't know nothing about them. I don't really care much about them, to be honest. But then FIFA should have been the one getting involved here. And they should then turn around to the Uruguayan FA and say, look, he's one of your players. It's unacceptable. If you don't act, we'll act against you. And then you'd have more impact against racism. What's happening now is not going to happen. Another thing with our FA and all that, who remembers Mark Bosnich at the Paxton Road and giving a Nazi salute when Alan Sugar was in charge? What happened? This is so... I mean, like he's our player. I want to defend him, but what he did was wrong, right? Because he's our player. But we all seem to be on the wrong end of these receiving things when they happen. Others always seem to get away with it. It just seems, I'm a biased fan, though, don't get me wrong. But I mean, like, it's like that Nazi salute, right? It got wide coverage in Australia. Obviously, he's an Australian player. But what happened to him? Apology to Sugar, and that was it. I mean, that was far worse. I mean, I know we're going back and but I'm just giving an example of the hypocrisy of this all.
But wasn't David Dean part of the FA back then as well? So
yes, he's Jewish as well. Well, he was vice chairman of the FA and vice chairman of Arsenal when Arsenal got away with the fucking George Graham scandal. That's another thing, but we won't talk about it.
You're right. I think I might have given you a bum steer here. Bentancur, has he not been charged by the Premier League for his remarks about about Son?
Yes.
Is this not where he's likely to face the long ban?
Yes, it is. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That if he had till Thursday just gone to oppose it or appeal or whatever, or get whatever he needed to get in, he had that opportunity to do something until Thursday. As a club, we don't know whether he did or the club did, but you know, like any of these things, if he accepts that he was in the wrong, then he's going to be found. He's going to get a punishment of game ban, and or maybe a fine, and it will probably be a lesser amount than if he then says, no, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. I say I'm going to appeal on these grounds and whatever, and then if he's then found to be proven, then he's going to get a longer time ban. I don't know how these things are going to work out, but you know, if you listen to people on Shitter and people like that, they were saying that they were thinking that he's going to get in between 6 and 12 games. I hope it's less, but at the end of the day, you know, we'll have to wait and see.
It goes back. I'm going to come on to that in a second, but just going back to this midfield, there was a comment, and you flashed it on and off. And I said I thought that at the beginning of the show that I thought the team that he played was what he thinks is the best team, and that midfield is Bentancur, Maddison, and Decky. I think he's settled on that being the best. I don't we can argue about whether Biss is better than Bentancur, but Jose, I think a lot of people will take your point that on their best form, Bentancur is better than Bissouma, albeit I think Adrian would probably say, but Bissouma does the carrying job that no one else in the team can do as well.
Well, interesting. Can I just make one point here? Because when people say that Ange doesn't adapt, if you noticed them pre-season games when we played, who was his favoured midfield three? It was actually Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison. And he played them in more one game because I was then espousing about, this looks how we're going to start the season with these three in midfield, Bissouma, Sarr, and Maddison. So I was just wanted to make that point, but, you know.
Yeah, as I said, I'm only saying that if by going by the first 4 games, judging by the season so far, he has preferred Bissouma to start. But Bissouma didn't start yesterday. Bentancur did. I thought Bentancur did really well yesterday. And I'll repeat again, I thought Bentancur was the shield. Bentancur made the tackles. Bentancur made the interceptions. And instead of carrying the ball like he normally does, he just passed it off straight away. He just passed it. He released the ball straight away. He released others to then go and do it. And the other thing I was going to say is Kulu played really well again yesterday. Kulu's been the mainstay for the first 5 games in the Premiership, right? But the Madison's game yesterday, the way they both switch and play, Maddison he was easily the number 8 yesterday. And the Kulu became the 10. So the fact that we've got 2 that can switch, the fact that we've got 2 players that can switch, it bodes well for us. People were very wary of putting Kulu and Maddison in together. He'd done that at the Everton game. That was the first time he'd done it, was at the Everton game. And I remember being at the game, Adrian, you were there as well, and we spoke about it, and we was like, God, he's put Kulu and Madders together. Well, do you know what? Kulu and Madders obviously are top players, they're professionals, and it shows that they can adapt that game to fit in within the system. Whether they look like 2 8s or 2 10s or an 8 and a 10, they're good enough players to suit the system that we're playing. And for me, I would continue with them 2 playing in the midfield.
Yeah, no, agreed. I'm going to move it on to Johnson, and welcome to Chang. I'll bring you in as well. Obviously, I'm not going to go over all the stuff that we've gone over before. The one point I want to make is I was gobsmacked, having seen all of the pre-season games, that he didn't start with Decky in the first game, because I thought he was our outstanding player in the pre-season games and doesn't start. But hey, managers make decisions. But Johnson silences critics. Well, as I said, we've had a lot of discussion about this on some of the chat boards that we use. Chang, I'm going to bring you in here, that particularly from a different culture, from Southeast Asia, where I don't think that it would be normal in your culture to give people the kind of abuse that seems to be more normal in the West.
Honestly, though, I think this thing now is actually starting to creep into our Asian culture, because whether it's on social media, whether it's in schools, in public forums, or even in public in general, criticizing people, abusing people, flaming people, making unnecessary remarks, trying to get under people's skin, getting on people's nerves. I think this is something that we are seeing now, the ill effects that mass media and social media has on the younger generation in general. Even some of the older people, they are also starting to have this sort of negativity or this sort of negative traits when it comes to abusing people. And I really wish that this is something that we can eradicate, although I think this is just nothing more than pipe dreams, honestly, because as long as there is freedom of speech and people are hiding behind their keyboards or their devices or whatever it is that they use to channel this sort of messages, it will never go away. They tried policing it, or rather they tried restricting it at some point over on Facebook and at one point Twitter and Instagram, but so long as this is not proper policed and people can hide behind fake profiles and firewalls, unfortunately this is something that we're going to have to deal with. And the only thing that I can see, the only light at the end of the tunnel, is if people lead by example, whether you are an influencer, whether you are a leader, whether you are a content creator. We just have to lead by example, and that actually stems from us ourselves. Whether that criticism or whether that's negativity or whatever, whatever that is not appropriate, put it this way, coming up from from individuals that target certain players. This sort of thing, I feel, if it is, say, someone like an Ndombele, if it's something that, you know what, you've overstepped your boundaries, you are already being very unprofessional in your conduct, and you are pretty much just being, you are just getting under everyone's skin, then yes, you could almost say that it's warranted, although vulgarities, racism, and anything to do with abuse is still frowned upon. You can speak out negatively against them, but not when it crosses certain boundaries like racism and hate speech and all that.
Chang, let me bring Coover in on this, because there's Dan's point, and full well we've been discussing this on some of our chat boards. Criticism is fine, comes with the game, deal with it, but the personal abuse is well uncalled for, I think we'd all subscribe to that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's common sense, isn't it? I'd expect anybody in any line of work, if they're not doing their job properly, to be criticised. Why should footballers be any different? I think it's actually more magnified with footballers, because they get paid insane wages and live a lifestyle most of us can only dream of. They've got to be accountable for what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, for me, there's a lot of vulgarities when it comes to talking about football, especially in this country. We use terms we wouldn't use when talking to people generally, but we'll even use terms like "so and so is shit." For example, I'll say that about myself. If somebody says you're any good at tennis, no, I'm shit. It's not a problem. It's but you also have to then appreciate there are different cultures in the world. There are different levels of importance attached to certain words. I remember back, go back several decades. Even in this country, it was a shock if you heard somebody use the word shit on national TV. But if you came from Germany, you could use the word Scheiße all the time, and it's not a problem. So there are differences, and there are different reactions to it. And I think with Bentancur, I think it's a kind of out of context because it wasn't done. He wasn't giving like a Premiership interview, with Sky Sports or anything like that. And I think there's a kind of more relaxed air about the interview he was giving at the time. Personally, I don't think it's a problem because he talked to Sonny and Sonny came out and said openly, he's my friend, he's my teammate, there's not a problem. That should be the end of it for me.
Yeah.
It's Spurs though.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if the FA and the Premiership are going to make this stance on stamping out racism and they're clamping down on all of it, then they have to dish out the punishment each time. And they have to make it consistent. I don't think we're seeing the level of consistency at all. I think some cases get highlighted and some are just swept under the carpet.
And they never act. They're always reactive, not proactive. These organisations. I still think FIFA should have taken a role here, and UEFA. But even when we've had a lot of racist chants, monkey chants in Eastern European countries, they haven't risen to our social values yet, have they? They're behind. Even some redneck states in America and that. I mean, in South America, it's just to them they think it's normal. So this goes down to education, So I mean, right.
Let's go back to the positives. Then I'll bring Jose. You have had a word for a little while. Johnson's performances are more importantly the 2 goals he scored in the week. But really important for him. Really important for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I said this, I touched upon this earlier. Players can feed and feel the energy in the stadium. When you've got 62,000 people, 63,000 people in the stadium, you're going to hear voices, you're going to hear what they've got to say, good or bad, about you. And, at the end of the day, yesterday, I thought he played well. He put in, apart from his goal, he looked positive. He didn't hug touch lines. He came in. He played differently yesterday, and it was a really positive game for him. As I said, there was people at the ground yesterday, Adrian and others that I've spoken to, that have told me that there was 110% support behind Brennan yesterday, and that they were singing his name even before he scored the goal. They were singing out for him and that, doing what the supporters do, supporting the team, supporting the players, supporting the lads out there. And obviously, the goal that he took was a very, very good goal. And as I said earlier, privately, my own thoughts, and I'm going to say them now, my own thoughts is I so wanted Brennan Johnson this season to do well, to get goals, to get assists, because he's been getting such a torrid criticism. And I just wanted him to come out of this, and not only to benefit him, but it would benefit us as a team if he started scoring more goals and getting more assists and improved his GA. And yesterday he done really, really well. The goal he scored against Coventry was world class. It was a world class finish, the way he took that goal, and the way he took it yesterday, where he got the ball, took the player on, shaped that, and then shot the ball into the bottom corner. He took it really, really well. We want more of this from him, obviously.
Yeah.
We want more of this from all our players. But, at the end of the day, they feed off this. They'll know when you only got 62,000 people screaming at you and stuff like that. They'll know, and only a professional player knows how that feels. I'm sure that if I was in an arena and I had 62,000 people baying for my blood, I think I'd know about it. So, so at the end of the day, I'm really happy for the lad that he scored these 2 goals in his last 2 games. But what we want is a bit more consistency from him as well as the rest of the players in our team. It's not just Johnson. We want consistency from all our players in our team. And he just happens to be one of the number of the 11 that start the game off. But I am really, really, really happy for him. Long may it continue. I want to see performances like this week in, week out.
Yeah.
But from everybody.
Dan makes that point in the chat. Chang, I mean, I'm going to say this, that I was a really, really, really big fan of Johnson's at Nottingham Forest, and I was really happy when we signed him. But he's not really been shown the consistency he needs. But do you think this might be the kick in the pants he needs to really kick on? Bad language there, but yeah.
I really do hope so. I mean, honestly, after a whole season or a full season last season with us, you would have thought by now that he would have adapted to Big Ange's system and his philosophy and what he requires from his players in order for the system to work and thrive in the Premier League. I hope also that if this is to be Brennan Johnson's big moment, now that he is the starting right winger or the starting right midfielder in that high press Ange ball system, I really hope for consistency from him more than anything. It's a very good performance nonetheless yesterday, but let's try to keep up that intensity, keep up the consistency and also the performance levels. And if, let's say, he dips again, it's also very important for us fans not to be too quick to get on his back, to pass judgment on him, because he still is young. Although he isn't in his teenage years, he's already considered a grown-up, but relatively, as far as footballers go, he still is considered young. So there is still time to nurture him, to get him playing better, because I know he can be better. And yeah, for me right now, if I were Brennan, the sky's the ceiling. And as long as he puts in his hard work, as long as he shows initiative, and more than anything, the perseverance, the personal perseverance to just run more than anyone else and really put in the effort. As long as he's putting in the effort, none of us can fault him. Whether his luck is good on the day, that is a different thing come match day. But if he puts in the effort, who can fault him?
Yeah. Subscribe, guys. I know I've said it a few times, but to Tell Cockerell, I think there was a link as well to Kuva, and of course to this channel. Please like, please subscribe, but please notify so you know when our channels are coming on, and you can come on and make your excelente contributions. Absolutely love what I'm getting in the chat. Kuva, let's talk about the substitutions. Sometimes there's criticism of his substitutions, but I thought first of all we got the substitutions absolutely right. I've not mentioned Bissouma there, but perhaps more importantly, the criticism last year is if the first team player was out, the depth that we had just wasn't there. When you can bring on players like Gray and Bergvall and Bissouma onto the pitch when players are starting to get tiring, things are looking up, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be brave sometimes. Just have a little bit of faith in the squad you've got. Mm-hmm. If you're going to come out with phrases like "I'm happy with the players I've got," and they're all my signings, and we did well in the summer, then let's see it. So it's important to see the likes of Gray, Bergvall, and particularly for me, I didn't think Mikey Moore was going to get any minutes this season. I really feared that. And I think he's the future of the club. I think he's an absolutely outstanding talent. Bergvall as well. Gray, I think, is more of a sort of steady player that's got that kind of maturity to his game that I think we're going to see it in time. The question with all of these players, not so much more because he's been at the club a while, but the question with Bergvall and Gray in particular for me is how quickly do they settle, or do they settle? Because sometimes just being in a different part of the country, leaving your home, it can affect players, but especially when they're youngsters. Do they adapt to it? So they're unknown quantities, but I am all for giving them some game time as often as possible. If I said that at the beginning of the transfer window, I'm not even going to bother following the club this season if we have a dreadful transfer window. Gray and Bergvall made it a bit of an unknown window for me because if come the end of the season they're getting regular game time and looking the part, I'd say it was quite a good transfer window. If they're not, it suddenly looks a bit poor. So what I'll do in the meantime, I'll just have to carry on streaming, I suppose.
Great.
Yeah, but these kids have got talent. I have no doubt about it. People say there's nothing to Archie Gray's game, but I have watched a lot of Leeds last season because I'm quite good friends with a certain Leeds channel, JSY, talks football. And when they do watch-alongs, I've watched him a lot. He's a quality player. Reminds me a little bit of a John Stones type player. They got that kind of calmness and elegance to their game. But he's versatile as well, playing right back when he's really a central midfielder, a defensive midfielder. I think he's got a lot to offer. Bergvall, I think, is a bag of tricks. He's got the physicality. He seems to like getting stuck in just as much as he likes showboating and then doing something devastating as well. But Mikey Moore, for me, is the one that absolutely gets me out of my seat. He's something special, this kid. More game time, please.
Well, Lancashire will be there as well. The thing with Bergvall and Gray, I mean, and Odeberg, Mikey Moore, Lancashire, right? You know, I mean, critics would say to us that, like, well, these players were brought in, but they weren't oven ready. And it's true. We've yet to see any of them play 90 minutes. Now, I really like the look of, I mean, you can see the quality in these players, but until they've played X amount of games for 90 minutes, that is the time to really assess them, right? I mean, they've got the stature to do it, Bergvall and Gray. They're both 6'2". You know, they're not, we haven't brought in the young players we brought in, apart from the odd winger and that, like, they've all been units. You know, your doggies come in, stars come in. I mean, they're all units. They're not small players, you know, which is good, which is good in my opinion. But, like, I could go on all day about Mikey Moore. I just love him to death, right? But, I mean, like, his stats are mental. He's going to be a star. I don't mind it being clipped. He will be an absolute star, right? Lancashire as well is just coming back from his hamstring.
I was just going to mention Lancashire.
He's just come back. He scored 23 league goals in 22 games last season, and about 30-odd goals with cup goals and all that. And he's the closest thing they're saying, big bold statement, in similar style to Harry Kane. So I hope that's. And I've watched a lot of him, and he's just so good. But the under-21s were also good last year. When you're winning everything, you want to see them when they're up against it. There were a few games when they got outmanned in games, like, but no, Lancashire will be fine. It's like, but we need to see these players play for 90 minutes. I thought Mikey Moore might get some late time yesterday. Fun enough, I did mention it before, and I said I actually expect to see him against Karabag, right, in the second half as well.
I'll come on to that in a second. Chang, I mean, Gray, Bergvall, Moore, they're 53 years of age. That's between them.
Yeah, so Gray, Bergvall, and Mikey Moore, if they are to be the future of Spurs, I think it's only fair that they get minutes and also the experience and exposure. Whether it's going to be in Europa League or whether it's going to be in the cup games or even in the league proper, that remains to be seen. And I think the responsibility will fall heavily on Big Ange if and when he does intend to deploy them. But I think in order to properly nurture them, they should be at the very least getting some regular game time. Sending them out on loan might be a short-term solution, but if they are to fully integrate into the squad, fully adopt and realize Big Ange's footballing philosophy, and more than anything, properly gel with the current existing senior team. Yesterday's substitutions I felt should have come a lot earlier, although of course you can't take that risk when you're only leading by a single goal in a must-win game in order to boost the club, the fans' morale, and also the players' morale. So hopefully in future games, if let's say we are leading by a good, healthy lead, with about say half an hour left of game time, then yes, I think it's absolutely pivotal and critical that they get minutes under their wings. And if they do get if they do make that breakthrough, the same way maybe say Pape Matasar or Udogi, or even Skip and Wings did back in the day when they were still trying out in the midfield for us. I think it's very critical for each and every single one of them to have sort of like this mentor figure, a sort of like a father figure that can take them under the wing, really guide them, nourish them, nurture them, and show them the ins and outs of the game. Big Ange for me is the kind of coach that will nurture these players, but more importantly, and this is very critical as well, the game time. That I think is what is going to be their make or break. Whether it's this season or next season or coming seasons, it's still far too early. But yeah, the signs are promising, and players like Bergvall and Archie Gray, Mikey Moore, I think the future is bright for them. Let's just keep the faith that their futures are with us if and when they do come good.
Jose, I got the impression that if we'd have actually put Brentford or one or two of the other teams that we've dominated to the sword and got 2, 3, 4 up, that you'd have brought the kids on much earlier. Do you get that feeling?
Sorry, who are you asking me?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
he's asking me.
Sorry,
Yeah, no, sorry.
Jose.
Yeah, sorry, I put myself on mute. Yeah, you do get that feeling, but I'm going to say it now, right? Because I said this at the start of the show. I'm so happy. No disrespect to the fella, but I'm so happy that Mikey Moore got on the pitch before Timo Werner.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I really, really am happy. That's what I called for before the game started. Now, I know that the boy's young, right? I know he's a youngster, and we've got to manage him and stuff like that.
Sorry, thanks, AJ. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, I know we need to manage him and stuff like that. But other teams that shall remain nameless, they manage their players at this age, and they get first team game time. I think that what we will get from Mikey Moore, and I said this already on my show, from Mikey Moore, what you're going to get is you're going to get someone that knows Tottenham Hotspur, knows what it means to be Tottenham Hotspur, who will wear the shirt with pride and who will do everything they possibly can for the badge, and that would be someone like Mikey Moore. With the problem that now that we've lost Odegaard, Mikey Moore then becomes one of these option players straight away because we have got no Odegaard. And with not having Richarlison either, and it's touch and go whether Richarlison actually plays for the club again. But with no Richarlison either, it's also important that we get Lancashire back from the treatment table as well, because then he becomes another option for us as well. Where we had 3 people starting in the top 3 slots, we had 3 people on the bench that could replace them as options. We don't have that now that we've lost Richarlison and Odegaard. So we're going to need Mikey Moore, and we're going to need Lancashire. So for me, yeah, the bench may look young, but with the players that we've got on the bench, if they're learning off the first team players, them youngsters that come off the bench, they are hungry. They are really, really hungry. And
Jose, just a quick question: Did you hear the rousing reception Mikey Moore got when he came on the field?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, when they were making a substitution, I think I saw Chan, because Chan was doing the watch on with me. I think we saw initially, and Chan called it. He said, "I think Graham Bergvall are coming on." And as Chang has said that, I caught a glimpse of a third player behind them both, and it was Mikey Moore. And on the channel yesterday, I was like, "And Mikey Moore's coming on, Mikey Moore." So we want to see more of Mikey Moore. Mikey Moore's a different player to what we've actually got. He's a different profile to any of the wingers we got, because Mikey Moore doesn't hug touchlines. Mikey Moore drives at players. Mikey Moore drives across the pitch. So if he starts on the left, he'll drift He'll drive across to the right hand side. So he plays slightly differently, but he's a very exciting talent. I would like to see more of him. Yes, he has to be managed. I would like to see more of him, but then I would like to see more of some of the other youngsters as well, because they will wear our shirt with pride. They ain't going to piss fart about. They will wear the shirt with pride. So if Lancashire gets fit and is given minutes off the bench as well, then he would be a benefit and a plus for us, because you can then rotate him with Solanke. You know, and we need this from our younger players, because they're the players that we have in our squad. I would like to see them, hungry players, coming off the bench. But Mikey Moore, I was so happy, one, that he came on, but two, that he was given game time before Werner yesterday.
Yeah. Just before I bring Coover in on that, and then we'll talk about Qarabag before we knock off. Mick Vickers asked, "What's the latest on Richarlison?" At his presser on Friday, Ange says he was out for a while, and it's probably best that I tell you when he's next likely to be available, rather than you keep asking me. So that would suggest that he's going to be out for a while, which I think the benefit of that is that that's going to give Lancashire an opportunity to deputise for Solanke. And I, like a few, certainly Adrian, I know, are a big fan of Lancashire's. For those of you in the chat who haven't seen him, I've used the word presence a little bit. This is a boy who has real presence on the field. He's strong, he's brave, he's not afraid to have a poke at goal, and he does have real presence. Kuva, you will, of course, will be absolutely devastated that your hero, Werner, appears to be going down the pecking order. I know you're a huge fan.
Oh, the German Shane Long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, Werner is one of the most if not the most embarrassing signing we've ever made. I was always dead against it. The man was finished years ago, and yet, apparently it was a no-brainer to bring him in. I made the point saying I think it is a no-brainer to bring him in. No-brainer to sign him at all. Anyway, I'm glad he's out. Mikey Moore is genuine talent. Werner's a has-been that's just got nothing to offer. I've heard Werner being described as having a great footballing intelligence. I spat my tea out when I heard that the first time. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He's Forrest Gump in football boots.
I told you in the chat, guys, he was a big fan.
Yeah, hair Gump. Oh no, what would be? Yeah, never mind. Anyway, Mikey Moore, different animal altogether. He's got the talent. He's got vision. He's got ability. He can shoot. He takes up great positions, finds space, and as Jose rightly said, he will drive across a box, and he causes panic when he does that. No defender wants to face a forward that's going to run at pace with them in the box, because it's a dangerous time. Because you stick the foot out at the wrong time, you're giving away a penalty. Mikey Moore's got it all. He really has. The only downside I saw to his game was when he missed an absolute sitter with his head in pre-season. But everybody's going to miss sometimes. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm really confident about what's going to happen in the future. It's the present that's kind of a little bit dodgy at the moment. We're not quite there yet, are we?
No, a little bit to go. Let's talk about Thursday. You'll no doubt cover this, Adrian, on your show on Tuesday night.
Yeah, and let's not forget, with game time for players, let's not forget on Wednesday there's the Carabao Cup draw. So, yeah. I mean, people say, I want to play all the youngsters. I said, you won't be playing youngsters if we draw Man City away. You've got that as well. But go on, carry on, Ian. Sorry.
So, yeah, no, you're good. I mean, I actually wrote a banner for those of you that have joined. For whatever reason, I couldn't get on our owners' channels link. So, Adrian's doing the banners for me. This is an important game on Thursday. You're one certainly that thinks Qarabag, the Europa League is one we can win. Qarabag are no mucks. They're top of the Azerbaijan League. I think they're unbeaten this season. This isn't an easy one. So you've got the dilemma. You want to give the kids minutes. You want to rest some players as well, because we go to Old Trafford on Sunday. But you've still got a game to win. So what do you do?
I think we'll go very strong. I think we'll go strong in this game simply because, and we see how we are in the second half before we think about bringing youngsters on. I think we could actually smash them to pieces, to be honest. I don't care if they're top of the league. It's not a league, not doing disrespect to them, but like it's not exactly a top-notch league they play in. And then if we go at them hard, and the main reason is because, well, the Europa League gives you the chance, if you win it, you know, and we're looking from a Western point of view at Roma and Man United as the biggest threats to us. If you win it, you're in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I think he will go strong in that because the club will want to go strong in that, right? And
what do you call strong?
Oh, at least 8 regulars, 8 or 9 regulars. Like, but then like you're looking at what you consider to be a regular now. I think Basuma comes back in straight away because he hasn't had a game. I think Decky still starts. I think Maddison still starts. I think Bentancur will probably be on the bench. The back 5 picks itself. Up front.
Hang on, let me ask you. You wouldn't give Dragusin a game and use that as an excuse to give him another game?
Oh, I've got an interesting theory about Dragusin, actually.
Well, go
on. He's a very good player, and I'm sure he'll do well. But at times in games, because he's not used to playing alongside a regular defender with him, sometimes he looks as he doesn't know whether he wants to stick or twist. At Newcastle, I know Romero got the stick, but he could have closed down Barnes. And even at the second goal, it's just his positional play. I might be reading this wrong completely. I might be reading it close, but I'm going to be watching it, right? One, because he's a new player. And even at Newcastle, he was the one in the second goal. When we had 4 on the back line, I thought, you doggy should have closed Murphy tighter. And I just thought that, like, Dragusin, he was the one who played everyone upside. He didn't know whether to stick or twist. He should have been looking at what Romero's doing. But then you can blame Romero for something like that because, like, someone has to marshal that back 4. You always want your goalkeeper and one of your centre-backs to be screaming their heads off, you know, a la Schmeichel. You know what I mean? So, no, he's a quality player, what I've seen. He looks for his age, 22. You know, he gets stuck in. He is aggressive as well. I've seen him protecting Vicario before near the goal line, pushing players around. So, and he looked good for Romania, didn't he? During the Euros, he did look good. I mean, he's not error-free, but I mean, you know, no defender is. But I like the look of the player. Would I play him? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't start him. No.
Are you going? I'm going to bring Chang in after this. You're going strong. So are you starting with Solanke, Johnson, and Son up front?
Yeah, I think I would actually. I'm sorry, Chang. Go on.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. That was for you, Chang. Your thoughts then on Thursday's team?
Thursday's team, I think, should pretty much be more or less the same team we fielded against Coventry City. Although, given how some of the players showed massive improvements on Saturday, which was yesterday, I'm actually hoping to see a lot more of Brennan Johnson and Maddison. Although, yes, I understand that we still have Brighton coming up ahead. So it's going to be an interesting team selection to be fielding against Karabakh. But if I were Big Ange, I would actually try and chalk up as many points as possible in as few games as possible in the Europa League, just so that we have that buffer, that insurance of a few games left to spare where we can try and experiment with the squad. So if I were Big Ange, I would try to feel as strong a squad as possible to kick our our Europa League campaign off to a flyer, preferably with a win. And with that in mind, I think we should start with our strongest 11 because there is absolutely no guarantee that we might even get European League football next season. So why not make the most of this competition? Get a commanding lead first before we field any youngsters or any of the bench performers. And if we qualify for the next round with a few games to spare, then, only then, do we start mixing and matching. But if you ask me out right now for Thursday, Vicario has to start in goal. No Fraser Foster, please. We do not want to see a Fraser Foster in goal in Europe. And as for the back four, I think Jet Spence for his heroics, especially his equalizer, that's pretty much, I think.
Sorry, Chang, do you know that Spence is not in the Europa League?
Oh, yeah, correct. You're right. Yes, he's not in the reckoning.
I couldn't pick you up there.
Yeah, you're right. Jet Spence is not in the reckoning.
One thing I should have added, actually, which I didn't think of at the time, is we have got Man United away on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think Star might get a game.
Jose, is this a classic opportunity to maybe get in the game, get 3 up at half time, and then start giving the kids some minutes?
Yeah, what I wanted to do is I wanted to address somebody's comment that I made earlier about Lancashire playing 45 minutes. Yeah, Gamecock. Lancashire has only just come back from injury, so he played 45 minutes on Friday for the under-21s because he's only just come back. What I'm saying is going forward, right? Because someone's asked about Richarlison as well. Someone's asked what's up with Richarlison. Well, Richarlison.
He's out for months. So I actually answered that. You may have been doing some of your other stuff. Richarlison, I think he's out for some months still.
Yeah, but he's out not through any injury now, right? Because if you look on the Premiership website, he's no longer got the calf muscle or strain or anything like that. It's now saying other. So reading between the lines, and the way that Postecoglou spoke on Friday, I would hazard a guess that his mental health issues have returned. Well, they've not gone away, that they're back again. And that's why Postecoglou has turned around and said, don't ask me, I will tell you. So therefore, I think, and this is why I questioned.
Oh, it's interesting.
This is why I questioned earlier whether we'll see Richarlison play again for Tottenham, or whether, and we are his employer at the end of the day, so we have got a duty of care. But if somebody came in with a bid for him in January, would Tottenham then take that bid? It remains to be seen. But for now, I'm reading between the lines, and I'm going to say that Richarlison's not going to be about for the foreseeable, and hence why I was saying that we need to get Lancashire. We need to get Lancashire up and running back from his injury, because he will then become the important option, a rotation for Solanke for us going forward in the first team. Now, as for Thursday's game, the question that you're asking, Ian, it's difficult because as a fan base, we're very critical about going in with weakened teams. We all understand that we've got to play Man United on Sunday. We all understand that we've got to play games after the Europa League. We all understand that we've got to play a game after the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. And initially, we all say, we've got to rotate, but don't do too much rotation, but we've got to rotate. Now, we're kind of finding ourselves saying, oh, you know what, we better not rotate. We don't want to lose the game. We want to win the game. We're going to have to go as strong as possible. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I personally would go in with probably a mixed bag. I'd go in with six, say, first team starters that you'd call first teamers, and I'd give the other boys a chance. I would do against Karabakh at home, and then have the luxury of having players who have not started on the bench. So in that sense, would I give Mikey Moore a start against Karabakh? Damn, 100% I would. I would give Mikey Moore a start. I would start him out wide. Would I give Bergvall a start? Yes, I'll give Bergvall a start. Would I give Gray a start? Yes, I would. But at the end of the day, them 3 coming in means that 3 would step out, but them 3 would go on the subs bench. So if it didn't work out well like it did against Coventry, then you can bring them on. But yeah, I would rotate. Our squad. And when you say first team, quite a few of them, i.e. Ala Basuma, who didn't play, for all intents and purposes, he may not have started yesterday, but he's a first team player. Do you see what I mean? So therefore, I would rotate it some, but I would go in as strong as possible, but I would rotate it some and not give the night off like we did to some of our players against Coventry. Some of the players that you take out of the first 11 I'd put them on the subs bench. So if you needed the help, and that I'd even bring them on. But that's what I would do.
Kuva Werner starts and captain of the team then for you.
No,
what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I made it pretty clear I wouldn't have Werner at the club at all. I don't see the point. Any of the youth teams can come in instead of him, as far as I'm concerned. But Karabag, let's face it, a club of our size should be treating them with disrespect. It's nice to say, with all due respect to them. I don't think we should have respect for those sort of clubs. We should be going out and absolutely annihilating them. However, right now, we're not good enough to be doing that. So it's got to be a bit of a balance. I think we've got to have the core of the team has got to be strong. But then the some of the fringe players, some of the youngsters can come in, and I agree, just have a little bit of balance. Keep those regulars in so you keep your shape at the back. Keep a strong base from which to work off. But it's prime for those creative attacking youngsters to come on and show what they can do. I genuinely believe Mikey Moore is already at a level above the majority of our forwards. I really do. I think for me, I'd start him easily, even in league matches. I think the more game time you give him, the better, because then he will be reaching 20 years old, fully established. I think he'll be an international. I really do think this is a special talent we got. We've got a habit of this club, though, bigging up all the youngsters to the point where there's unrealistic expectations of them, or just the fact that they got a Spurs shirt on means they're great. It's not that case. A lot of players do not make the grade. This is the first one I've seen. I didn't even see this with Ledley King. Mikey Moore is a real talent. Trouble is, we get sprinkle the use of words like generational talent around all the time. A lot of players that this gets applied to are not that. I think Mikey Moore actually may be. Interested to see how he develops, but I think I find him genuinely excited. And this is the kind of game you can play him in. Use it as a springboard. We used to do this a lot under Redknapp as well, didn't we? We'd treat the Europa games, get a load of youngsters on, give them a bit of experience, see what they can do. It's there for the taking with a lot of these places because first teamers are not performing to the level I'd expect at this club. Let's go for it. Don't be scared. At the end of the day, it's still a league format now, and you can have a few luxuries if you put in the effort in other games and get the points on the board. It's sensible planning. And as mentioned, Man United on Sunday, that is bloody important because that is a team we are in direct competition for if we got any illusion of going for top 4 this season. So that game's way more important to me. It's good to say, we do get Champions League football if we win the Europa League. But just to dismiss all the other teams in it, bar 1 or 2, I think it's a huge mistake. We are not as good as people say we are. We can look good at times, but we're not consistent, and we do lose a lot of games. That's going to change big time. I don't think you can rely on a cup competition as all eggs in that one basket to get that golden egg of Champions League football again. You've got to aim for top 4. It's still the priority, and it's where the money is, so we know where our chairman's going to want to go.
It's interesting with Mikey Moore's situation because who would have thought with Ange, you just don't know, because who would have thought that he'd give his debut to Brennan Johnson away to Arsenal? I mean, that was so unexpected for me, it was. All right, Chang, we can't hear you. Okay. So, I mean, and I would expect Basuma and Sarr to be given at least a half against Karabag as well. I mean, if he goes strong in the first half. But it's going to be wait and see, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'd like to see what Bergvall has got to offer more. Sarr, I've seen what he's got to offer. I want to see more of Bergvall. Sarr, so I know what Sarr can do. Fully aware of what Sarr can do. I want to see what Bergvall can do. I want to see him start. I want to see what he can do.
Well, his two second half performances in both Bayern Munich games was excellent. Go on, sorry, Ian. Go on.
No, what I was going to say is these are players we should be able to bring in, and this is my point about the depth. Bring in without weakening the side. Last year, you'd make changes like we did at Fulham, for example, and the team was weak. We could bring in Sarr for, we could start with Sarr, Bergvall, and Bissouma, and not feel surely that the side was significantly weaker than if we start with Bentancur, Kulusevski, and Maddison.
Yeah,
you're not sure about that.
Who are we talking to?
Any of you? Well, you raised the comment. So.
Well, yeah, he could. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we start with Bissouma and Sarr. It wouldn't surprise me at all against Qarabağ. I mean, but I just think we should go a bit. What I would consider to be.
Where's the creativity if we started off with Bissouma and Sarr? Who's the creativity?
Well, then, you've got you've got to go with Maddison, really.
And what happens to? But for me, Bergvall's creative as well. We just need to see him. He needs to be given minutes. We've seen what like I said. I've seen what Sarr can do, and there's no harm in having these guys on the bench, right? And then giving the opportunities to maybe Bergvall, more Gray, giving them more game time. Them three, right? So that means you're not disrupting the whole team because I'm talking about three players now. I would have thrown in Lancashire, but he's out injured. He's not going to be fit to play to start a game. So I'm going to throw the three youngsters in, but then the core of my team is going to be a lot of the first team players anyway. And the players that they replace go onto the subs bench. So if we do struggle, or if we are looking and we do need to change it up, then you can change it up. You can bring them back on, and that's what I'm saying. I no disrespect. I've seen Sarr play. I know what he can do and what he can't, and what his limitations are. But Bergvall in a competitive match, we've not seen him start the match yet. I'd like to see what he can offer us in a competitive game against Qarabağ on Thursday.
Yeah, so would I. I would. I mean, if it was me, I would rest Kulusevski after the shift he put in yesterday. I'd rest him till Sunday. But I mean, I'm not picking the team. I mean, this is just we'll do a lineup nearer the day. But I mean, I mean, I think you can rest Decky. Then you could put Bergvall in alongside Maddison. I mean, it's just that. But I think this is going to be a game of two halves, but a better game of two halves than against Coventry. I think you've got to get some minutes in Sarr and Bissouma's legs, right? So you've really got to give them a half, whether it's a second half or not, or whether they start. But like you say, you might give one of them that start, Jose. Like you still keep the creativity that you want. You might play Sarr instead of Bentancur or Bissouma, and then bring Bissouma on in the second half and rest Bentancur for Man U. I mean, it's nice to have options for a change, though, isn't it?
When
you win, all of a sudden the bench looks good, doesn't it? And the stock rises of the players. When you lose, they're all rubbish.
I'd rest Sonny, and I'd give Moore a chance in Sonny's position.
Fine.
That's what I would do, and I'd Bergvall. I'll bring him into the midfield. You start with Bissouma or Bentancur as your base. I'd bring Bergvall in and play either Maddison or Kulu with him. Or with him there, and I'd start Gray. I'd give Gray a chance. Start him at the very least start him at right back.
I mean,
at the end of the day, we've got players that we believe in, that we think are good players. But this is all belief at the moment because we haven't actually seen them play. We want to see them start.
I don't know nothing about the Qarabağ League, but you can bet your bottom dollar that the pace of that league is nowhere near the pace of the Premier League football. So, we should be able to kill them with pace, right? In all areas of the pitch, basically. We should be quicker to everything, basically, for them. I mean, I can't see them providing a task even like Brentford, to be honest. And I don't know the team, but I'm just going that one because this is the Premier League and they're in a different league. But, I think Ange they'll have a good look. They'll have had a good look at Qarabağ anyway. So, and whereas we haven't. So,
I mean, let's face it. They're from what? Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, yeah.
And we beat them before in Europe. I think in the Conference League.
Real powerhouse league, that one, isn't it?
Yeah. And we beat them in the Conference League, I think, before. We've played them and beaten them before.
Yeah. I don't think we should have any fear whatsoever. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to picking players, if you have any concerns about playing any of them in the squad, then that means they're not worth their place in the squad.
True.
All of these players should be ready. So that comes down to that's a long-term problem with this club. I think we often have players in the squad that shouldn't be there. I think the ones we're talking about at the moment, the likes of Bergvall, Mikey Moore, I think they're well worth their place. I want to see them all playing together. Perfect time to do it. Don't have any fear. Go out there, let them express themselves. Stuff Carabag. Go home happy again.
Yeah, Ange has got to discover different blends that work in midfield. You've got 7 midfielders if you include Decky in there now, with the 2 young kids that have come in. And even when everyone's fit up front, he's got to find blends. I mean, he's got to find blends of front for him, blends of 3 in the midfield. You know,
absolutely. Also, if you're not going to pick people like Archie Gray or Bergvall, why are they here right now? Why haven't we sent them out on loan?
Yeah,
you've got to give them game time. Otherwise, it's pointless. You're holding back their career.
They'll get game time though. They will. Ange just said that in his press conference. He said all the players.
I think so too.
Yeah. So he
all
will.
Right. Guys, I think we're over the 2 hours, so I think we will leave it there. Everybody in the chat, thank you for your phenomenal contributions. Please like and subscribe and notify to El Cockerel, to Kuva's channel. I don't have a link for that. And
3 Spurs boys.
Diehards. Guys, thank you to everybody for your contributions. We'll see you in the back room. For Jose, when are you next back on?
Tomorrow for the results show for the predictions from this week.
So what time's that for?
Oh, sorry, that's 4 p.m. tomorrow.
BST. I'll try and get there for that. That bastard Madison cost me 2 points with that 3rd goal. But
I think that was
cost me more than that. I had 2-1 Solanke to score the 1st goal.
It was better than that because it eased my nerves enormously once we got a 2nd goal ahead.
Got to say big up to Jose as well for running that predictions league, because that is a serious amount of work, and it's one of the highlights of the week for me. I really enjoy that. It's nice and laid back. It's chilled, bit of fun.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. This Kuva's channel.
Excellent job.
Adrian, you'll be back. I may or may not be with you on Tuesday.
Yeah,
we do. At 8 o'clock.
I mean, Ellie's away for a couple of weeks, so we're not sure what she's doing or whatever. So I'll continue to do the Tuesday and Friday shows at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll leave you to do your own thing, whether you're doing early morning Sundays or evenings. Down to you, isn't it? You know, we've had a good. Guys, we had a good 40 under 50 in here. We're down to 30 now after 2 hours. That's good staying power for you lot in the chat. Big thanks, guys, from all of us here. We're a fledgling little group, but we are doing quite well, actually. We've only been going 3 months.
Some really nice comments about
and we pride ourselves on being a mature and sensible, discerning Spurs group. We do cover the controversial stuff as well, but we like to do it in a mature and sensible manner. And I think that appeals to I think we've got a discerning audience. I think that, and that's what we want. That's what we want, you know.
Can I just say that, on the predictions, people, you're more than welcome to join in. It's not too late. We'll be on week 6 next week, but you can catch up on points. And we've now got up to 74 players playing, which is really good. Last season, we ended up with 119. So I think we're on our way to beat the 119 from last year.
Plenty of time.
Keep doing it.
I will play you out with. They played Dreams of Desire again yesterday at the end because we won that game, which was good.
Yeah,
South Stand going nuts. You know what I mean?
And Adrian, take it away.